Roll call?
Judge Beckman, not present. Ellen Smith,
Present.
Ben Forster,
Present.
Emily Pratt.
Present.
Okay, so we're going to discuss the wind. Should we do the wind energy first?
Yes.
And so do we ask for comments from the visitors first, or?
Nope, I'll go ahead and go through the changes and you guys can have discussion on that
Okay.
initially. And then once you have concluded your discussion, we'll open up to comments of the public.
Okay, sounds good.
For the wind, I apologize again for not having a draft to you sooner. I literally just finished them tonight. I have highlighted the changes to make it a little bit easier to go through. On the wind ordinance, we're gonna flip to page 8. Under warnings, letter A, we just beefed up the language to include compliance with NESC, ANSI, and OSHA. If you go to page 10, this is the road use agreement section. The state's attorney, the assistant state's attorney reviewed it. She said Dave Anderson's proposed language was sufficient and met what the state is trying to do. So we went ahead and included his language in here and removed the template language with regard to the road use section. You go to page 14, paragraphs 17 and 18 have been added. Looks like I see an error on the second sentence of paragraph 17 that should say commercial wind energy facility. But this is to address the outside storage of equipment, vehicles, and whatnot beyond the construction phase of the project. We also included a paragraph for hours of construction. We established hours of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. within 1/4 mile of a non-participating residence, unless a waiver is obtained by the affected non-participating resident. If you go to page 18, this is the insurance section. We have swapped out, well, actually, it's a combination of the templates language and our current ordinance language. Paragraph 1 is from the template, and then paragraph 2 on is our language. It adds standards for the insurance, it spells things out, it beefs up the language. On page 19, under paragraph B, section I, it was noted that there is an incorrect punctuation. It says it should be $5 million. Instead, it has 5,000.000. So we'll get that corrected in the 2 places in that paragraph.
And also where it says solar.
Yes.
Got
Thank
it.
you. All right, go to page 21. This is the fees section. This is the application fees under paragraph 1 at the top of the page. We are going to go with the 5,000 per megawatt with a max fee of 100,000 due up front. Since this money we'll have to keep strict accounting for, and they will have to pay anything beyond $100,000 if needed, they're required to reimburse us within 15 days of request. When you go down to the building permit fees section under paragraph 2, it states prior to the issuance of building permits, the building permit applicant must deposit a building permit fee in an amount determined by Lee County Board resolution. This is how it's typically been done. We don't ever put figures into an ordinance because that means anytime we change our fees, then we have to change our ordinance. What we have decided to do is not change our building permit fees. Those are going to stay the same. It's a graduated scale. We have not had any issue with it from the developers. It is a precedent we set in Lee County over 20 years ago. So we are gonna maintain our current building permit fees. And those are the changes to the proposed wind. Does anyone have any questions?
I had one minor addition.
Okay,
Page 18, page 14. Under paragraph 18, unless a waiver is obtained by the affected non-participating resident, I would insert written ahead of waiver.
That's a good idea.
okay.
Because somebody can agree to it verbally and then not like it after the fact.
You are correct. Okay. Any other questions? Any of the public have any questions? All right, we'll move forward with solar. Similar to the wind, the changes have been highlighted. Some of them are similar as the templates were pretty much the same. We start on page 6. And I believe on page 6, under Article 5, we've added this paragraph, and it basically states that we're setting aside the rules of the district. So setbacks, lot size, lot coverage, lot area, height, fencing, landscaping, signage. Within our code, we have specific rules set out for each of these, and they do not conform to what is proposed within this. So we are going to set those aside and go with the standards listed in this ordinance. So that's what that paragraph describes. We did that similarly in the wind. I just did not have it highlighted, so I apologize. On page 7, this is the vegetative screening section. We have gone back to our much more lengthy, much more detailed vegetative screening section. This is what was worked out between the industry and the public when we did our revisions here recently. There were a few minor changes to make the vocabulary and everything align, but it is substantially what is in our current ordinance for screening. I did make the change that if the owner of any adjacent non-participating dwelling does not elect one of the above two options, the second option, which allows for design, installation, maintenance, and removal of the vegetative screen shall apply. This guarantees appropriate screening is done. If a landowner wants to make an effort to have a cash payment in lieu of the screen, they need to make the effort to do so. We are just going to make sure that their basic needs are met, though, as a citizen of the county, and therefore the default will be a vegetative screen and not payment. This also sets out the standards for the vegetative screen, so what they can have and cannot have, the height of the vegetation, maintenance, installation. If you go to the next page, Page
I have a-
9.
I have a question.
Yes.
And this was probably in here before and I didn't notice it. All vegetation shall be planted at a minimum of 3 feet tall.
Yes. So that is because the biggest concern of the public is that they don't want to see these projects. So if we're going to build a screen, we're not going to plant little itty bitty, couple inch high trees and wait for them to grow. We're going to start with a substantial height. And, some of the screening trees that they use only get to a certain height anyway. So it's just a requirement to help speed up that screening of the project.
Gotcha, thank you.
Going to page 9 for fencing. This has been added. We have added the standards of our current ordinance, which allows for a 6-foot high fence and an exception of an 8-foot high woven wire fence adjacent to non-participating properties. We've also added additional language regarding the warning signage and compliance with NESC and ANSI and OSHA regulations. You go down on further on that page to paragraph 7. We have included the language including fencing with this section. Fencing setbacks are not addressed. It's not clear at all where fencing should go in this. Since they have not set out a separate section for it, I'm assuming that it is then a part of the facility. So we are just making it clear that the fencing is included in those components under our ordinance. So that does give fencing setbacks if the non-participating landowner prefers. There is also still the availability of having a waiver if those non-participating landowners wish to work with the company. Go to page 12. Again, outdoor storage and hours of construction have been added. I will include Mr. Forster's suggestion of adding written waiver to paragraph 16 concerning construction hours. Under page 15, again, it addresses signage. This is, again, reinforcing ANSI, NESC, and OSHA standards shall apply. It tells them where they need to place the signs and that the signs at the entrances need to include the 911 address and the 24-hour contact number. Going down further on that page, we have the insurance section again. This is a copy and paste, same as what is in the wind section. And I will make changes to the figures under paragraph BI that were noted under the wind review. Next page, page 17, application fees again. This is identical to what we're requiring for the wind, and same with the building permit fees. Building permit fees for wind and solar are based off of the same equation. There is no difference, so they will remain the same on solar as well as the wind. And that covers all of the additions that have been made since last week on wind and solar. Does anyone have questions about solar? Anyone from the public have a question on solar? All right, if you want to open up comments from the public, we can go ahead and do so.
I have one question. Do I
Sure.
need to ask it now?
Yeah.
You had said last week that there were some contradictions between the state's language on drainage and how that's addressed and how our ordinance is, but I noticed that none of that had changed. So we don't need to change what we already have.
We're being told that our hands are tied. It is my understanding that there are attempts at trailer bills to address this, but that nothing has gained traction so far. So where does that leave us? I'm really not sure. It's not very clear. So we will just have to move forward and see how it plays out. And if there's a big enough problem, hopefully the state will step back in and address it. I am not sure of all of the contradictions. I just know that what is required under the drainage statute and what is required under this statute are not in line.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Ellen, if you want to open up the public comment?
Would anyone like to comment?
All right. You can call each petition for a vote. And again, this body is recommending body, so you'll recommend it to the county board. I would please note that there were no comments from the public on either ordinance.
So does someone need to call for a vote for the wind?
You want it in the form of a motion?
We need a
Trying to think
motion
of the
or not?
proper way. Alan, if you want to call for the motion and they can second, and
I move that we pass the wind energy systems ordinance as it is. Do we have a second?
I second, recommending that to the county board for approval.
All in agreement? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, the solar energy, everyone who is in agreement that we should send it to the county board as is?
can you put that in the form of a motion, please?
Please.
I move we send the solar energy systems ordinance as drafted with the typographical corrections noted to the county board for their consideration and approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
Any new business?
There is no new business.
Awesome.
You can move to adjourn if you are.
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.